So I'm assuming that most of you have tried NVivo before. Some of you might be very expert in NVivo. Some of you might be just starting to learn how to work with NVivo. Yeah. So one of the things what I would like to emphasize here that we need literature review several times during our PhD process. And also once you have done your PhD project, you could be doing some more research work. So you need lit review. Yeah. So you might have seen there are different types of lit reviews so far, or if you have read, lit review paper, so you might have seen different types of, title. Let's say sometimes they might say narrative review, sometimes they might say scoping review, sometimes they might say systematized review. So usually there are different varieties, different types. So you don't need to be master of every type now or throughout your PhD. So most of the PhD students conduct traditional review. I'll touch those ones a bit later. And especially for the School of Design, most of the time we conduct traditional review, which is, I think, very common in PhD thesis. Yeah. And the students actually from the other sciences like health sciences or maybe business discipline, they conduct a lot of systematic review. Yeah. And also some of the health sciences people, they conduct a scoping review. So I think as a PhD student, you might be quite, confused. Okay, why are there so many options and what should I do and which one could be done using NVivo? That's what I'm going to explain in today's session. And also I'll give you hands-on, exercise, then you can learn a bit better. So what I said before that before you start your PhD, you might be writing a proposal for your PhD thesis. So you are particularly conducting a mini literature review, or you might be looking for finishing up your proposal within your first year. Then you need to really find out what the gaps are, what are you going to do as a PhD student, what contributions you are going to make. So in all these cases, you need to conduct thorough analysis of prior literature, which is we are calling here kind of kind of traditional review or reviewing prior literature for our PhD thesis. So what I said that, why do most of the students conduct, traditional review? Because on the one hand, it's less time consuming. And on the other hand, also like, it's a bit easier to do it as compared to other reviews. Yeah. So there are, of course, a couple of, plus and minus issues here, because traditional reviews are done by individual researcher. So there might be some bias how you conduct the review. So, but in order to remove those bias, you need to conduct systematic approaches. Yeah. So I think Caroline already have touched those things before, but I'll also touch a bit lightly here, because for the systematic one, what we want as a researcher, sometimes we want a reproducibility. Let's say you conduct a research and if you write down the same procedure, excuse me, somebody else can conduct the same research, then they should get the similar results. That's what I think systematic review does, because you write down the exact procedure so that somebody else can reproduce your results and they can rely on what you have analyzed. So for the systematic review, I think what I say, there are a couple of things. If any of you are interested in conducting systematic review for your PhD thesis, or let's say for writing a paper and outside of your PhD work. So there are a couple of guidelines here, which is first one is called Cochrane Handbook. So this is actually very thorough and extensive guideline how you can conduct systematic review. So personally, I did actually quite a number of systematic reviews, and I published as well. You might have seen my Google Scholar profile, that you'll find that. So personally, I have published scoping review, I have published systematic review, and also I have published traditional review. But in my experience, if I look at the different genre here, so systematic review usually takes a lot of time, and you as a single PhD student, you might not be able to finish it without the direct involvement of your supervisor. So which means that systematic review should be done as a team. So let's say you as a PhD student could be the lead, but you need your other supervisors to be involved so that they can help you could finish it, let's say, in 6 to 8 months. So usually if you work hard, if you work almost full time, so a particular systematic review could take 6 to 8 months on average. On the other hand, it could take 1 to 1.5 year. Yeah. So again, what I'm saying it is based on my personal experience, and of course the experience of my other fellow colleagues who did the similar reviews. So see the amount of time that you need. On the other hand, if we talk about our PhD thesis, so you only have 3 years to conduct your research and submit your thesis. So then if you're really keen to conduct a systematic review, which is the gold standard in health sciences and other sciences, so please consult with your supervisor, check if this is feasible or not. Yeah. So in today's session we will talk about the NVivo, but in order to support your systematic review, NVivo could be helpful to analyze the data that you have collected or you will be collecting. But there are other options, other guidelines, other supporting software. One of them is called Covidence, because in the systematic review, as I said before, you'll be doing it using more than one person actually. So other people can actually trying to filter out those paper. Yeah. So those things are really, really important if you use systematic review process, and especially the Covidence one. So from my personal experience, I also use Covidence because currently I'm conducting systematic review, and that particular software, which is not free, it's like $240. You have to purchase the license. What it does, it helps you to filter out the paper. So ideally, what we do, we look for online databases. We could use Swinburne Library database to collect, similar papers. For example, if you are working on a particular topic, you could use keyword search under the Swinburne Library website. Then you could get lots of hits. Let's say, for example, you could get maybe 13,000-14,000 hits for a particular keyword. So those keywords actually that Covidence software can analyze, and the particular paper that you have collected, and then it can reduce the duplicates. Plus, if you have 2 or more researcher, you could actually filter those out, because end of the day, you want to collect only those papers which are relevant for you for your thesis. So again, for your traditional review, you could follow the same approach if you want to be a bit more thorough, which is fine. There is no hard and fast rule that you can't conduct a traditional review using Covidence. The only difference is that the methodological difference. So why is systematic review is more time consuming? Because methodologically, you need to conduct many steps. Yeah, that's why it is taking so much time. The other review, I think, which is good for our School of Design PhD students, I would say, which is the scoping review. This is also sort of systematic, but it does not have very stringent criteria to fulfill, some quality checks, of the papers. So I think as a design students, you could aim for, of course, traditional review, but a scoping review would be good, especially if you're aiming to publish any review paper. Yeah. So review papers are also like very well cited, and you could boost your citations, particularly if you can write a good review paper. So for example, from my experience, together with my other colleagues, I wrote a review paper on robots and supporting education in the primary schools. But that paper actually was not even in a top journal, like was a kind of mid-level journal. But we got around 550 citations for the particular paper. We wrote it a couple of years ago. So that's how actually you can boost your citations if you follow systematic review process and write any kind of paper that would be interest to the researcher. So this is what I have already said before, that most of you who are writing PhD thesis, so in your introduction chapter, you need lit review, but you will have a kind of dedicated chapter where you need your lit review to be written. And particularly for the PhD students, we say you would write approximately 10,000 to 20,000 words. So, but in my view, 12,000 would be the good target to write a review chapter or literature review chapter of your thesis. But this is not like end of your journey, because you may need to write lit review or mini lit review for your discussion chapter. Yeah. So you need almost everywhere in your PhD thesis. One is dedicated, but the other chapters are not that dedicated, I would say. But still, you need to review. So this part is related to the NVivo training that I'm going to show today. What I would say that you always start with the research questions that will guide the lit review process. So, and formulating a research questions takes time, but of course, most of you already have written your draft proposal, especially if you're in first year, so you know exactly what you want to achieve, what you want to collect from the online databases. So that question should be the starting point. And the other thing that I said before, that a particular review could take 6 months to 1 year or 1.5 years. So in that case, always check with your supervisor whether something is doable or not, because doable for PhD thesis is like the time. The main issue is the time thing actually. So whether you can do it within your time limit. But I would say for the PhD journey, 6 months would be actually enough for our design students. So within the 6 months, you should be able to write down the first draft, which should be, I think, much more doable than if you look for a traditional systematic review, which might be harder because you might not have the right training to conduct such a review. On the other hand, if you apply or try for a scoping review process, so it should be done, I think, pretty much 6 to or 5 to 7 months. So which should be actually a good piece of work to be published in a at least T1 or I would say T2 journal, which is not difficult one, I would say. Yeah. So the second step, what we need to do, I think most of you are familiar with our online databases, and especially for the design students, we actually have some sort of support from the library as well. I think if you contact the library, sometimes they can help. So to search your articles. So I know that most of the time we use keyword search using Google Scholar or any kind of standard database that we have. But what I would say, if you are doing very serious work, if you are doing a bit more systematic approach, so you could book an appointment with one of our library support people. They could help you to collect. But you might be thinking, why should I ask library people to search? Because the reason is that the search databases are not consistent. What I would like to say that the way that you search in Google Scholar is different from other databases, right? So you might not be familiar with all the keywords or the process of searching. So it's better to ask one of the experts and book a session with him or her and spend one to 1.5 hours and try to learn how to search. But before that, you need to do some homework. You can create a Word doc or Excel sheet with your research questions, what you want to search, what are the keywords, what are the criteria for like other criteria, I would say inclusion and exclusion criteria. So then you could actually do all the searching and export your data as an EndNote file. So I know that not everyone uses EndNote here. Some of you might be using Zotero or ReferenceWorks or Mendeley. So all are fine, but the reason I'm talking EndNote here because the demo I'll provide you today, it has a lot to do with EndNote. Yeah, but you could do it with other software. What I said. Also, Swinburne has a free EndNote software, which means it's licensed under Swinburne. So you could actually download the software and try using it. And personally, I like EndNote because it is integrated with my existing work, and also it's easy to actually transport the files, and share it with your fellow researcher. But I would say that you could use any other software that you're familiar with. Don't bother too much if you don't know EndNote. Yeah. And number 4, which we would like to try in today's session after a couple of slides. So you need to understand what type of data do you have. So you might be thinking, okay, I used NVivo. Some of you might have used NVivo for conducting qualitative data, qualitative data analysis. But how can we do uh, literature review? So one thing you need to keep in mind for the rest of your life, if you want to grow as a researcher, there are 2 types of data that we are dealing with: quantitative data and qualitative data. And if you look at the data, actually, it is nothing: text, audio, video, or your personal reflection. Even the reflection could be transcribed, as a text. You could record audio. You could, like say, even the video could be converted into a text. So end of the day, what you actually are getting here, you are getting text type of data or image type of data, especially for the lit review part here. So what we are going to analyze, we are going to analyze a couple of PDF articles, right? So PDF articles have text. PDF articles also have let's say some images. So at end of the day, even if you conduct an interview, and end of the day, what you get interview transcription, you convert into a kind of like, annotate everything, whatever you do it. But end of the day, this is kind of text type of data you get. Similarly, we are also getting text data here. So that's why NVivo does not know actually you are conducting lit review or you are conducting an interview analysis. NVivo doesn't care because it doesn't know actually what you are doing. It only knows whatever data that you are importing into the software. That's why it's similar. Yeah. So to summarize it, what I advised before, if you are quite new, if you think you are running out of time, so always good to conduct traditional review, which is better for the PhD. But if you think, okay, you really want to push a bit further, want to publish something, then you can follow the systematic review approach. And within the systematic review approach, as I said, there are a couple of other subdivisions. One is called scoping review, which is in between traditional and systematic review, in between. Yeah, so you could follow that path, and you could publish something. So as this is only 1 hour session, I can't go too deeper, but if you really need to have some advice, so I'd be happy to have a chat after this, or you could email me if you think I have a plan to conduct such a review. Could you please guide me? So I'm happy to do that. Yeah. So now I think a bit more about the NVivo here. So what I said, today's demo will be NVivo, EndNote, and Excel. These 3 things you needed to conduct a lit review. So before you conduct such a review, one thing you need to understand what NVivo can do, what cannot do actually. Yeah. So the current NVivo software can be integrated with other, reference management software. Let's say NVivo, Zotero, ReferenceWorks, which is what we need, because we need to import data into our software, NVivo. That is very important. And one thing you might have noticed that it says qualitative data analysis software. Yeah. However, you could do some quantitative analysis there. Yeah. Though NVivo is mainly qualitative, you can do some sort of like say frequency analysis, content analysis process, like say diagram. You can create frequency diagram or bar diagram. This kind of diagram you could create. Yeah. So don't think it's can only done qualitative. To some extent, it can done it can do some sort of quantitative analysis process as well. So what I always tell the students that NVivo is a kind of software to support you, but as a researcher, you need to have an understanding what you want to do. NVivo cannot decide for you. That's very important to understand. Sometimes I think students have some sort of hope that okay, their data will be analyzed by the software. Actually, it's not. So that's what you need to understand. You will see lots of people have analyzed their literature, article, or qualitative data without NVivo, which means that they have used a bit more manual process, extracting all the data in Excel sheet, trying to read line by line and analyze it, which is also fine. Yeah. However, there is some sort of advantage that I'll show in today's session. But what you need to know before you start jumping onto NVivo, let's start it, because you might be discouraged at some point, because you might be lost, because there's so much to learn, so much to do. So if you think, okay, you are fine without NVivo, that's okay. But if you think, okay, I'll take a challenge, I'll try with NVivo, so please go for it. But don't stop at the middle, because then you will be losing a lot of time. So that's what I want to remind you, that before you start a project with NVivo, so look at its like potential, also the limitations. So these are the like summary of what you could get out of the NVivo, because we are human being, we tend to forget things over the time, especially if you deal with so much data, so many articles, so you may forget it. So if you have a NVivo software, you might be able to code things so that you can remember later on. You can add external sources, edit sources, or delete some sources, whatever you like. Yeah. Also, you can link different types of sources. Sources, I would say, different types of articles, different types of like say designed artifacts. You could connect with so many things and create the relationships. So I think I have 4 or 5 slides, then I'll start the demo. Yeah. So what you need to know here for the NVivo software, and I'll link it later on with the demo, so that you need to know what you're exporting. So NVivo can export PDF files, NVivo can export images, NVivo can export, let's say, any other kind of text type of document, let's say Word document. Yeah. What everyone needs to remember here, if you really want to extract data from your PDF file, so please make sure that those PDF files are readable. Yeah, if you click on a PDF file, if you hover your mouse, you can see that, okay, can you copy a particular text? If yes, which means that the PDF files can be read by the software. For example, you could say I extracted an image to NVivo. So can I do something? Yes, you can code actually different things out of those images. But what you need to do, because NVivo can do lots of automated things. So if your PDF file is an image file, then NVivo cannot do anything for you. So please make sure that that particular PDF is readable. Yeah. And also what NVivo does, you might have seen that when you read a particular paper from online, there are lots of metadata, metadata means author names, keywords, then classification of, in Australia, there could be like fall code, research code. In some journal and conferences also have some, classifications. So all the metadata that actually all can be imported. How? When you go online library, then when you export the data as an XML file, which is EndNote file actually, it captures lots of metadata actually. So you might say, okay, why should I do that one? It does automatically. However, you can do lots of analysis using the metadata. So because I do lots of centrometric studies, like how authors have been publishing, where they are publishing, and what is the impact of their publishing, those can be actually analyzed using the metadata. Yeah. So that's why NVivo does it automatically, as long as you have the XML file extracted from the library databases. So this is the more or less last part of my talk, and then I'll demo it. So this is like, say you need the EndNote file. Just imagine that EndNote could be reference works, Zotero, whatever. Then you need to make sure that you have attached the files in EndNote software. All the PDF files are connected, and then you export it as an XML file, and then you connect with your NVivo. I'll demo it, don't worry. So then that's what I mentioned, this XML file. You might not know actually, when you save a file in EndNote, you will see that there is an option. It's called extensible markup language. So what it does, it puts some tag, and it like connects all the PDF and metadata together, so that whenever you export it, you get everything. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that one demo, blah blah. So in today's lecture, what I'm going to say, I'm going to show a couple of things here. Yeah. So with this demo, I'll give you a couple of things. Before I do that, I have to stop this screen first. Yeah. So please bear with me. I have to connect it. Okay. So window. Yeah. So can everyone see this screen, please? Yeah. Can anyone say yes? So what we need here, so that, yeah, can you see?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank
yes.
you. Thank you. So again, don't be afraid. What you can see here, there are so many things I have done particularly for you. So this is the NVivo environment. So as I said before, you might have seen this before if you have used NVivo. So many menus, sub-menus, blah, blah, don't worry. So there are only a couple of things you need to consider whenever you are analyzing the data using NVivo. Could be any types of data, yeah. But just to remind you that you see the EndNote, Mendeley, reference works, Zoteros, which means you can import your bibliography data from any of those databases. Yeah, but I already have imported a couple of files. See here, files, memo, notes. Yeah, I have done something. What I did to give an overview of, so I have imported a couple of PDF files here, and all the PDF files are tied to one of my research projects that I'm doing. It's about loneliness and technology, how technology could support or cannot support. So I analyzed a couple of literature here. Okay. So whenever you start with your NVivo and you want to analyze it, so first of all, you can import. Yeah, I already imported. You can import EndNote, whatever. Let's say these are my files, what I imported. Yeah. So this is the first step. So you import first. When you import it, you see here, after the import, the files will be here. Yeah. So when you import it here, There are a couple of other things you need to consider. If you see here, explore. So before analyzing your articles, you need to understand what can be explored. So why they have given explore here, what I said before, a lot of people conducted this kind of research, analysis process without NVivo, right? So which means that whenever you have interview transcription or a particular article to analyze, you read the article first, have a quick look, what is already there. So they try to map those functions here, and they have a couple of things here. It's called explore. Okay. So what you could do here, first of all, I think you might have understanding of the analysis process. So this is more or less qual and quant type of analysis here. So, and we do lots of thematic analysis also in lit review. The first task you could do it here, you can see what is already out there in this paper. You can do word frequency search first. Yeah. So I clicked word frequency here, and I can do run query here. So you can look at here. See, I have, let's say, a couple of PDF files here, and what this PDF file does, the NVivo actually checked all the PDF files and trying to extract the frequency. Yeah, how many words, similar words, and usually it does like phrases, noun phrases, these kind of phrases it tries to extract from the extracted PDF files. When I hit the button run query, I already did it. You can see here what things can be added. You can see word cloud. Some of you might like it. Okay, I have a couple of articles. I want to see how word cloud works, or what are the most commonly words available in my collected articles. You can see here. You can do tree map, and it's called also dendrogram cluster analysis. You can make it bigger if you need it. So what is important here to see that I'm still doing some sort of exploring. I have not started my coding yet. Yeah, why? Because I want to know what is already out there in my data, right? So this will be the first step whenever you start looking at any sort of analysis process. And to compare it with your let's say qualitative analysis here, so it could be purely interview transcription that you are analyzing, or your PDF articles. The process remains the same. Just to remember that, okay, you are not learning a new things here. I would say if you have used NVivo or tried NVivo before to analyze qualitative data, you can follow the same approach to analyze your PDF articles. Yeah. So what is interesting here, sometimes you could extract this kind of things, and you can easily see export word cloud. You can always export it. Yeah, it's quite good. Yeah. So, and you can also here summary. You can create separate tables actually if you can extract it and create separate tables depending on what you need. So what I have done here, I have done automatic one, means that files and externals, which means that all the files have been selected and analyzed here for me. But what you could find out that you are not interested in all the files. Let's say I want to analyze this one first. Yeah. So you can select this one, and you can look for word cloud for a particular article here. Yeah. So, or the similar things you could explore here, for example, and also what I said before, that you can do pretty much anything. You could do here. You could change the color and other things which are very common. You might say different things. You could just choose from here. It's quite easy to do it. Yeah. So we are still trying to understand what is happening with the data here. So our second option is that, okay, this is a more automated one. We are not interested in the automated one here. We would like to explore further. Let's say, text search here. Yeah. So I want to conduct some text search. Let's say I write here loneliness, because I know that all of my data are here related to loneliness. But on the other hand, when I conducted the automated, visualization, I knew that so many things are about loneliness. Yeah. So have a look here. You might have done this before, seen this before. See exact matching, like some stamped words. So talking, speaking, whatever. So you could try, but I'm just trying the word loneliness here. So what I'm trying to see here, for example, I just trying to see how does loneliness is happening. So you can also choose the file here in the files and external. You can do the select items. You can say I want in all the files. how loneliness is happening here, or I'm only interested in loneliness in only a couple of files here. It's up to you actually what you want, because you know exactly what you're looking for in those data set. So let's say I choose this one, maybe I choose all, for example. Yeah, then I run the query here, see what I get. So always look at the right hand side, you will see summary, preference, PDF, and what tree. Yeah, so you can always find those kind of things here. So if I look at the what tree here, that's interesting actually for you to understand. It may take some time to generate it. So my screen is a bit smaller here, you might not see everything. So what you could do, you can undock everything, you click it here, you can undock from here, but I'm leaving it right now for the convenience. See, if I look at the loneliness here, see that how it is happening. It analyzed everything for me. Yeah, see that what is happening here. Yeah, so this is again, we are trying to explore, then it can tell me, okay, what is happening with the data, what is out there. And keep a good eye here, because you might find some interesting things out of there. If you find it, you can save it, or if you saw, I think maybe it's too much, but maybe I'm saying isolation here, so then you can run actually another query out of this one, isolation, for example. Yeah, so what this system does, look at this one. So I ran a regular query with loneliness, but I'm checking isolation and loneliness, what is happening out there. Yeah, so see that, so you see there are different types of branching happening here. Yeah, so what it does, it actually give you this, like, kind of, now it talks about the social isolation actually here. Yeah, so then it gives you, but not everything might be interesting for you. What I would say, what you need to explore it first quite well, and if you think anything is interesting here, and then you can keep it, or you can run in next query here. So I come back to this one, my original query. Every query, everything you does, it will be added to the next part. So on the top of this one, so let's see what else can we have. Why I'm doing this one, there is a reason, I'll explain why. So let's say here, maybe something like that, you can see, you can read it actually, you can see here temporal, maybe less interesting for me, depending on what you do, that not interesting. So you can keep reading it, actually checking it. Feelings, maybe, I mean, feelings would be good. Yeah, I see something about the feelings here. So what I would say, maybe I can search, see what type of feelings are out there. You know, could be feelings of loneliness. Yeah, yeah, that's what I want to know. So that's good. So what I need, rather than doing my coding individually, so the software already has done some sort of coding for me, because I know that what are the feelings of loneliness. Yeah, so that one you can actually save the results. So here you can do the query results, you can say feeling of loneliness. Yeah, so you can save this one. So now I'll come back to the typical thing what you do usually when you look at a particular data set. So remember, the first thing you need to do is explore your data, do the exploration button, and check the frequency or text search, see what is out there. Step one. And the step two is what you typically do actually here. You want to see, okay, what is already out there in the PDF file. I click the PDF file. So let's say I see what is the PDF here. Let's say I click on this one. Yeah. So what we are trying to do, essentially, we are trying to code things. Coding means, okay, you say, okay, this one I'm trying to code. You can code a particular word, you can code a particular sentence, you can code a particular paragraph. It's up to you actually. There's no hard and fast rule how you could do that. Yeah. So I click the right mouse button and see code here. So I already have a couple of nodes under the node here. I created a couple of them here. But what I could do here, I could say this part, maybe I can say this is a gap. Yeah, I can say gap. Yeah. And this part of the paper, I'm coding again. I'm clicking on these, code it. Let's say this is the gap, maybe 2, whatever. I'm just doing it here as a matter. Yeah. So what I have done, I have coded this PDF file manually, right? So you can look at this one, coding stripes here, say all coding. So I can see under this PDF what I have coded so far. What it does, you can see the density of the coding means you have coded quite well or not. But the length of this stripe, it means that maybe longer things have been coded, shorter things have been coded. Yeah. Also, it has been coded under gap, gap 2, and they also like say, you can look at the coding density here. So you can keep coding it manually. What is actually important as a researcher to understand? But the advantage of NVivo is that it can code automatically. That's what I told you before. That's why using NVivo might help you to make some decisions. But what we have seen before, when I show the text search query and I created a kind of experience of loneliness, but that one I can use it later on. So I have covered the coding one. So you can code any PDF you can click on. You can code whatever you like. So whatever you like, actually, you can code. I would say, let's say I do this coding, another node, but I'll come back why I'm doing this one. Let's say I do this barrier. Yeah. So you can create new node, anything you can create. If you click the nodes here, you can create new node, anything you can done actually. See, sorry, if you click at this one, and you can come back, you can create new node under this, or you can create sub nodes, whatever you like. So the basic thing you need to understand the difference between the thematic analysis process, by Brown and Clark, and also other process called qualitative content analysis process. So usually the qualitative content analysis process, you have some sort of category beforehand. Yeah. But thematic analysis is that you keep reading it, or this could be a theme, something you say, see, you can say code, but then you can code under this one, or you can create a new node, something like that. Okay. So most of the PhD students actually, or early career researcher, they make the mistakes. You need to understand the process. So whatever the process you follow, you might find the similar results, but you shouldn't mix up the processes. Yeah. If you follow the qualitative content analysis process, follow these steps that researchers already have established, or if you follow the uh, grounded theory approach, follow the approach and see how you used NVivo. As I said before, NVivo doesn't care. It doesn't know exactly which process you are following. Yeah. What you need, methodologically, you should be correct how you do it. Qualitative content analysis process, grounded theory analysis process, and also thematic analysis process. Whatever you do, you can follow the same, like it will look the same at the end of the day, but the way that you prescribe, you present it, it should be written in a logical manner so that it actually fits within the established methodology. Yeah. So what I said, there are a couple of things actually here you need to say query results. Let's see, feelings of loneliness. That's what we have done it actually at the beginning of my demo here. So you can use this one. Yeah, you can use this result. You can see what has been done. So create as code. Yeah. So I already have nodes here. So I can add a new code here. So I can add say, feelings of loneliness. So if I see here, yeah, so you can do here, should be feelings of loneliness. Yeah. So what I did, if you can remember, so what I did, I tried to conduct some search. The search outcome results can be put into the node actually. Yeah. Yeah. So see that feelings of loneliness I have done. So this is my search outcome, but search outcome, what is done by NVivo automatically, it can be put as a node. If you understand it quite correctly. But what I said in these cases, I can actually quickly say, let's say I want to know what are the methods of each paper, each design paper, blah, blah. I say this is maybe method 1, method 2. I put it under the code, say the methods 1 here. Let's say I have gaps, facilitator, barrier, and whatever I like, I can put anything. Let's say the methods here. Yeah. So I can put under this one. But what I'm doing now, I'm doing everything manually here. So then people would say, if you do everything manually, why should you use NVivo? That's what I said. I did this one, I did automatically. Yeah. So that is the advantage of doing NVivo. But you see that I have done so much. For example, I have done before this session. So I can keep everything under one node, under multiple nodes. I can switch to different nodes. NVivo doesn't care actually. So that's why in the qualitative analysis process, there is some sort of subjectivity, because you might say it's the barrier, I might say it's a gap, or the same thing I might say it's a kind of feelings of loneliness. The same paragraph could be done multiple ways. Let's say I'm doing it like in a under maybe the gap one. Yeah. But in the past I did it under the methods. It doesn't matter for me actually, because I think this is valid, because this is a part of my analysis process. Yeah. But what the advantage is that, so the software can keep track of what you have done, and end of the day when you want to make your conclusions, you can make valid conclusions. So other things also I want to show here in terms of the coding. So one thing I showed already from the searching part. Let's say I want to do this one. Yep. If you click any of these PDF files, NVivo has a powerful tool. It's called autocode. Yep. So one thing to remember that I'm using NVivo 12 and the Windows computer, Windows operating system. I am a Mac user, but the NVivo software, the Windows version is better than the Mac one. So if you are interested in, so always try to choose the Windows version, because some of the auto coding things are not in NVivo. Sorry, not in the Mac version. Especially, I think they try to create new functions, new features over the time, but they're doing more for the Windows, less for the Mac. So that's what you need to remember. So see that I put the next here. What it does, again, it is trying to analyze, and it creates, see, a lot of things have been done here. So if you do these things, you need actually in a couple of hours to code these things. But again, the software is giving you something, doesn't mean that I'm interested in any of these things or only some of the things. Let's say I uncheck it. I'm only interested in the relationships, for example. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Maybe interesting, blah, blah. Or you can look at these things. Let's see what is out there. See, age, it could be age, your age. I don't know what things are there. Range, no, not much interesting here though. It depends on what you're looking for in the data, actually, I would say. And so well-being, maybe something interesting. Oh, okay, yeah, there are 3 types of well-beings. At least 2 types of well-beings are defined here. Let's say I want to know how many times. Yes, so I'll be only checking this one. Yeah. So the software did automatic coding for me, which is good, saved my time, but I'm not taking everything out there. So I only check these 2, and yeah. And then also you can see when it does, as I said before, you can code a particular word, particular sentence, or particular paragraph. So what I'm going to do here, let's say I like to do the paragraph because I want to read. See, the changes. Look at here. Next. So then I can give a new name here. So new name could be well-being. Yep. So that's done, finish. So and it also can give you some sort of breakdown of what type of well-beings out there. You can create different types of diagrams, blah blah. Again, this is a simplistic one, but you can get a bit more complex diagrams here. And you can click on these, it can change whatever you like. Yeah. So what I want to say, a couple of other things from this demo, that there are 2 other powerful functions you can actually try in NVivo for the review. One is called framework matrix. I'll show it. The other thing actually exploration is called matrix coding. It's very important. Why? Because as a researcher, when you write a particular paper or your thesis, what do you do actually? You do lots of text, and then you create tables, diagrams, or images, right? So one of the powerful thing in NVivo is that it can create tables quite well for you. And if you understand the tables, this is similar to creating, it's called row and column. If you see Excel spreadsheet, you have rows and columns. So NVivo can do it for you actually here. So let's try one with me here. So I want to create a table. So I did matrix coding here. And if you see that every table has a row and a column, row attribute and column things. So let's say I choose something here, which is all the files here, and then select items. So let's say I want to know all the PDF files that I have, let's say files, would be, let's say, author name and the year of the paper I've selected. So you need to understand what you're doing it actually. Otherwise, it's very confusing in NVivo if you don't understand what you are going to do. So my rows have been selected. So now I'm using the columns here. So what do I want? Let's look at my nodes here actually. So let's say I put everything what I've got in the columns. And also, like if you look at here node, there are so many other things here. Let's say I search a couple of things from barrier facilitator. Let's say this one, which means that all the things have been selected. It will show under a table. Now look at this. Sorry for this one. I didn't want this one actually. No, for that. So these are all my tables here. Look at all my PDF files actually. Author names and the year. These are my PDF files. So which means that these are every row that I have selected. 12 rows here. But it shows what have I coded actually here. If you look at this one, seems what have I coded. But then you might say, why is it interesting or not? Then you can choose only a couple of them. You can choose everything. You can choose the color, and also you can create like some sort of chart here. So it's up to you to decide how do you like to put all the codes and how it has been coded. So this is a good function actually for NVivo, I would say. And just to remind you that this is for analysis process. But if you try a particular journal which is really purely qualitative, they might not like this kind of quantification. So again, check it with your supervisor. But I like it because there are some kind of journals which also welcomes lots of quantitative part of the qualitative data. Let's say to quantify some sort of content analysis process, then this is quite good. But writing a paper purely thematic analysis, which might not be good actually for showing these things. But however, I like this approach because it's good. It gives a kind of overview of what I have done. So you can create, and again you can export any type of chart out of there actually. So which is good. Yeah, export it and it will be like, say, JPEG and other files that you are going to create actually. See the PNG file, so you can create anything like this. So it is a good functionality, I would say, how you do it. And the final thing what I would like to demonstrate is called framework matrix, which is similar to data extraction process. Whenever you have collected some PDF files, you can extract the data in an Excel sheet, which is you can do it using NVivo actually. So let's try that out here. So I have to create something. So let me close some of the things here that I've created for you. That might leave up some memory of the computer. So created is called framework matrix. So remember that whenever I say matrix means row and column. Yeah, that's the basic thing to understand first. So let's give a name, hello, something like that. Let's give a name, whatever name you need to give it. And I say row and column is the matrix. So let's say I selected my cases, but you might say where I get the cases. I'll let you know a bit later. So cases are actually all the PDF files that you have extracted. So you don't need to create a case. This is a bit easy to do it. I'll show it a bit later. So select the cases here, which means I have select all the cases. And the columns means what I want in the column actually to do. So let's say if I select a couple of things here, barrier, facilitator, loneliness, this one. And also I might have done some manual coding. Why? I'll show you why I'm choosing multiple things here. It might be very busy diagram, but still it's good to show. Okay, I've done it. I'll hit the button OK. Let's see what it does. It may take a little bit of time. So remember this one first. What I said, I have not done things yet. What I said, these are all the papers. See, I have around 12 paper, right? So all the 12 papers are on the left hand side. Yeah. So if you have done typical, literature review process, most of you have done using spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet. So what do? You write author names, you write the attribute like the published, year of publications, main findings and methods, so you can pretty much create everything here. But what the software does, if you click this one, if you click auto summarize, see what happens. See, something is happening out there. See that? Yes. See that a lot of things have been filled out for me. I didn't do it myself. This is the beauty of NVivo. I like NVivo for this reason. You can export this one. You can export the framework metrics and as a spreadsheet, and you can discuss it with your fellow researcher, with your supervisor, whoever you like. Yeah. So now one thing to remember here, what I did. So these are like say only a couple of words here, but these are the big chunks of paragraphs. You remember that when I did code, some of the cases I did big paragraph coding. So whatever you have coded, you can add here. But you might say, okay, I might have forgotten to write something for this particular author. Can I do it? Yes, you can just double click it and you can write anything that you like here before you export it. So then even if you miss something, but you can still feel those things, and you can see the power of NVivo to support your lit review. So this is one of the best things you could get out of NVivo. Yeah, and you can keep adding things together. You can share it with your fellow researcher. So, and as I said, if you think something is missing, you can always write on any of those blocks, and you can make it ready for further review with your colleagues or with your supervisor. Yeah, so I think I have demonstrated the main part, what you need, but of course you can do many more things. The basic things are creating notes, understanding what data that you have, and also creating this kind of analysis process. So what I said, if you have some sort of files here, if you click all the files, Control A, and then you can actually see the main options here. Okay, so you can see classification, you can make different types of classifications here, and also you can create as cases. Yeah, that's what you need. What I said before, this is, you can create it anytime whenever you are conducting any analysis process, or you can recreate things, which means that software needs to know specific things. We know row and column in a table, but software has different things to understand. So that's why this particular software need cases. Case means individual record, if you understand it a bit more easy way. So these are individual record that I have created. Yeah, so I think I have talked quite a lot so far. Before I finish formally, so does anyone have any questions for me? Any questions from anyone? Feel free to ask. And if you have any sort of support later on, if you need any sort of support, so please come back to me. I'm happy to support you, because if you have not tried NVivo earlier, it might be quite daunting task to see in half an hour, okay, what I'm showing actually. So please come back to me later on if you have other questions. Yeah, sure. Yeah, feel free to come back. Okay, thanks, Kathy. Yeah, okay, Kathy was here. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So if no one has any questions, so I think we can end the session, and feel free to get in touch with me and I'll be happy to help. Okay, so I'll end today's session and enjoy the rest of the day. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks, Atula.
Thank you.
Thanks.